Hi, my name is Derek May West from Gemstones Team Rio, and I'm going to be talking to you about mouse tracking. Team Rio is focusing on creating a system which gives a better interface for sorting through email. So, as a team, we're pretty focused on interfaces. Now, in order to figure out what is effective or ineffective in an interface, it's often valuable to look to your users. And one of the best ways to do that is to go directly and see what your users are doing with your interface. One of the best ways to do this is mouse tracking. Now, I'm going to show you two different ways of doing mouse tracking today. One is called smt2, which stands for Simple Mouse Tracking 2, and the other is IOGraph. I'm going to start with smt2. So, on our team's project page here, we've set up a sample page for mouse tracking. We're going to open it up, and as soon as the page loads, the mouse tracking begins. So here we have some test text, and we have some buttons. Let's click some. So we'll click the buttons, and now we have this text box here, so let's try dragging the scroll bar through it, and back up, and we can try highlighting some of the text. Or we could even change the size of the text box, supposing we need to do that. Now, you might also want to highlight some of the text on the page, and then that's pretty good. So let's close out that window. Now we can go into the content management system that comes with simple mouse tracking, and we'll refresh this page. And as we do, we'll see that our latest record, the one that we just tracked, is still receiving data. So while we're receiving that data, I'll show you some of the other features of this wonderful interface. As you can see here, there's a table containing all of the entries of mouse tracking records on that sample page that I just showed you. There are client IDs to specify unique clients, location IDs to specify unique locations, page IDs, which means that you can have this simple mouse tracking track multiple pages on your website. So you could have it run on various different pages or for different interfaces, and you could have those sorted so we can differentiate them. We can also sort by date and how long the person was browsing and how long they were interacting with the page or their number of clicks. Down here we see that we can filter the results so that we can get more specific data, and we can look at certain subsets of that larger table of data, especially when you get a larger set. So let's refresh the page and see if we have our latest one available yet. Oh, looks like we do, so let's play that back. The playback window is written in Flash, so it'll take a little bit to load. And here we see we have real-time mouse tracking. We see where the cursor moved, and we saw it drag various things. You can see with the blue dots show that we're clicking and dragging, whereas the absence of the blue dots show that we're not clicking and dragging, we're just moving the mouse. The red X's indicate that we're clicking, and the vertices show where we changed mouse directions. Now we can command click here, and we can bring up a menu that allows us to customize this display. We can enable and disable the background overlay, we can remove the mouse path, we can show coordinates so that we can show specifically where the mouse is. Oh, and look, we're finished playing this back. We can also show where we dwelled for a long period. And we can remove the drag and drops, the clicks. We can show directions with fun stretched mouse icons. And we can show the active areas or disable them. That's what these blue dots are. Shows us where our mouse was most active. This pink X is the centroid, which shows us the average vertically and horizontally of where our mouse was moving in the page. As you can see, we centered around the upper left of the page because there wasn't any content on the right and lower parts of the page. And you can see the green pointer and the red pointer show us where we started and where we ended with our mouse pointer, respectively. This is a fairly handy way of playing things back, and you can obviously customize it to almost no end. Which brings me to the fact that smt2 is free software. It's the code base is all open source, so you can view the source and you can change it as you need. But as it stands, it's a pretty good piece of software, and it's fairly easy to install, fairly user-friendly, so it's pretty decent. But at this point, I'm going to switch over to IOGraph. This entire time we've been doing this webcast, IOGraph has been recording our mouse movements. And you can see here, you can see faintly the lines in IOGraph. I'm going to pause it at this point, and I'm going to tell it to use the backdrop, my desktop, as the background of this, to see what we've actually been doing. And here we see Chrome in the background. And now let's view this file real quick. As you can see here, we have Chrome as our background, and we have these paths that are artistically displayed by IOGraph. The black dots show where the mouse has dwelled, so when I stop my mouse and leave it there for a while, IOGraph picks that up and leaves it as a black dot, whereas these faint white circles show where we've clicked. IOGraph has, like SMT2, an interesting way of displaying mouse tracking. Now, while it might not be as statistical and thorough as SMT2, it still gives us a good qualitative idea of what the user was doing. Now, IOGraph and SMT2, comparing them is like comparing apples and oranges. They both do mouse tracking, yes, but SMT2 is specifically focused on remote data collection. That means that you don't have to be there when your users are using the web page. You just set up the web page remotely, and the JavaScript runs on their machine when they access your web pages. IOGraph, however, is a local application. It's meant more for the user to use themselves, or if you were in a lab setting testing with users like we will be, you could use IOGraph then. IOGraph also doesn't have a restriction on what you can track. Because it's not JavaScript, you can embed it, well, you can use it anywhere. It doesn't have to be using a web page. It could be using movie editing software, or photo editing software, or a word processor. Whereas SMT2 specifically needs to be used with a web page using JavaScript. So those are some of the pros and cons. Now, both of these utilities are free. SMT2 is hosted on Google Code, and IOGraph has its own web page. I'll include links below the video. So you can check out both of them and use them for yourselves, and see what you might be interested in. I know that we're interested and intrigued in using both of them in our various phases of research. And don't forget to visit our blog at teamrio.blogspot.com. We look forward to seeing you later, and again, this has been Derek May West with Team Rio. Have a nice day.